Okay, hello, 6th grade. Would you please have the writing a compare and contrast essay little tiny packet out on your desk? We'll be looking at that a little bit today, and we'll be talking about writing a compare and contrast essay. We're going to compare and contrast something. Well, first let's start by doing the basics. See this fancy smancy dots right here and a line over here? That's where your name goes. Please get your name on your packet, including all of you. Who has a reputation for forgetting a name on a paper? Yeah, I can't think of any 6th graders other than maybe Aiden. Did you put your name on your paper? Thank you, sir. Over here, there's a little spot over here that didn't copy very well. That's where your number should go. We're writing a compare and contrast essay. You'll encounter these throughout 8th grade, throughout high school certainly, and throughout college as well. For example, on a test, you may be asked to write a compare and contrast essay. And you need to choose subjects that are alike and they are also different. And here are some tips below. Let's just go over this first page today, and then I'll explain a little bit more about how it applies to what we're going to do in regards to Karana and Maniac Magee. So when you're comparing and contrasting, you have to understand the prompt or the question that's being asked. Read the prompt carefully. A prompt for a compare and contrast essay could look like this. Compare and contrast to real people or fictional characters, their lives and their accomplishments. Tell about important similarities and differences. Important similarities and differences. Keywords here are compare, contrast. Their lives are what you're focusing on right here. Their lives and their accomplishments, talking about similarities and differences. First, a good topic. Choose 2 people or characters you can compare and contrast in several ways. In other words, you want to be very familiar with these 2 people. In our case, we are specifically looking at the 2 characters from those 2 books. Organize your ideas. Make a Venn diagram. We will be doing something like that as well. You write differences in the outer part and similarities in the center. They're using Abraham Lincoln and John Kennedy. Abraham Lincoln grew up in a very poor home, and he was not especially good looking. John Kennedy came from the Kennedy background, very wealthy family, and he also happened to be handsome. The things that they shared, they were both very intelligent, they were humorous, they faced huge national crises, and they both were assassinated while in the office of the President of the United States of America. You write a good beginning, you begin with a strong topic sentence, and you develop and elaborate your ideas. Use the details in your diagram to write about. Okay, that's a lot to digest right now. Let's look at this a little bit differently. Here, we're going to compare and contrast the 2 main characters from Island of the Blue Dolphins and Maniac Magee. We're going to compare them. We're going to find similarities. When you compare something, you are finding similarities, and which means they find things that they have in common, and you look at the characteristics of each of these characters to find similarities. Comparison is to find a similarity. To contrast is to find differences, to find how they might be the opposite, to look at how they are not similar. You look at the characteristics of each character to find differences. Contrast means differences. So our Venn diagram that we'll be making, we will have characteristics unique to Karana, characteristics unique to Maniac, and characteristics that they both share will be where they overlap, the things that are similar. Well, let's just start thinking about characteristics. What are characteristics? What are some of the personality traits, for example, of Karana and Maniac? What are some of the words you would use to describe them? I just happened to pick friendly, and were they both friendly? Was one friendly and the other maybe not? Can you think of examples where you could say, well, based on how this person acted here, they were fearful, or were they curious? Were they courageous? Were they self-reliant? Were they resourceful? Were they caring? And I'm sure this list could go on and on and on and on. But you need to really think about what are the personality traits that you would use to describe Karana and Maniac Magee. But we can't write about all of them because I think you don't want to write a 20-page essay. I think we could just keep it to maybe 3 personality traits. What 3 personality traits would you like to focus on when comparing and contrasting Karana and Maniac McGee? And I think that's as far as we'll get today, but you need to start thinking about these characteristics about these 2 characters. What would you be able to have an example that would be evidence of how they are a particular characteristic? What's a situation that occurred that demonstrates that they were maybe curious, or were they courageous? Think about those characters. Think about what they did in those stories. Think about how you want to compare and contrast them. And that's what we'll be working starting here. And let's look at some examples of how other people have written compare and contrast. And we'll come back to that later. Have a great day. Now, I highly recommend, if you weren't taking notes, if you didn't catch something, play it again, Sam. I mean, play the video again, of course. Bye for now.